Hello out there in YouTube land and welcome to the OKGoodReview channel. Okay guys, and we are coming to you from Spider Central. So this is where I have my work area, and I'm going to take you through all of this and talk to you a little bit about the tools, again, that are what you would need for a basic model, guys. So this is, again, for starter, beginner stuff, guys. And you can see there's a lot of stuff. I will have a video after this for the stuff that I keep, which is specific to me, which will be the third part of this series, guys. But for right now, we're just going to go over some of the basic instruments, guys, that you will need as part of your starting modeling. So guys, as you can see, I'm right in the middle of a model build right now. And while I was waiting for some of the glue to dry and whatnot, guys, I thought it would be really fun to do this series. I talk about the models, guys. If you haven't watched the first part of the video, strongly suggest you do that, where I go through the types of models. But guys, I do a lot of displays that integrate models and other things, and so I get questions a lot from people that will ask me, you know, that they'll say, this is really cool, I wish I could do that, how do I get set up with it, and so on. And that's not a super difficult question, guys, but a lot of it just depends on how far you want to go down the rabbit hole, right? So obviously I went pretty deep, and when I first started, guys, so this is what I used to do, right? So I would, if I had something like this, which this is rims, okay? So let me show you guys, this is what I used to do. When I first had these kits, what I would do was, myself and my brother would do this. We would just twist them, turn them, and then we would take them off like so. So you just pull everything off, right? So guys, you can see the obvious problem here, right? And that is, you don't have, so you can see you don't have a clean edge. So what happens if you put this next to this, all of a sudden you can see that little spike there, right? And so we would sometimes have sandpaper that we would be able to take those off with. And so when I started to get back into it, I was looking around at some of the different tools and stuff, and I found this thing. So this is called a nipper. And guys, the beauty of this is if you take this and you put it right up against the part, like I'm about to do right now, guys, right in front of you. So you can see with the nipper, that eliminates almost all of that. And if there is, guys, it's very little that's left. So that would, this guys, if you're going to be serious at this at all, this is a must tool. And guys, I will have a list of all the must tools at the end of this video, guys. You'll be able to just pause the screen and then just read what you have to have. So this is the first thing. The second thing, guys, that I think is something that's really important for you to have is this. This is just basically a two-sided sanding board. It's more or less like an emery board that you could use on your fingernails. You can see, guys, I use this quite a bit. There is also, guys, I have a second version, which is a metal file. And you can buy a lot of these prefab kits, guys. So I honestly use this end a little bit more than I use this actual end. I use this end to hold things down and position them in place, just because of that little handle there. So guys, that's the second thing that you would need. You would need either, and you can use sandpaper. I personally don't find sandpaper helpful because a lot of this stuff, it's just easier to have a little bit of rigidity to this. So the emery board, guys, is the second thing I would say. Obviously, guys, you have to have glue. Now, getting into glues, there's a couple glues that I use. This one is by far my favorite. This is just the straightforward testers. it's a very hot glue, and by hot glue I mean that it has a high solvent content, which means it attacks the plastic and it softens it up. And if you drop a little bit on there, 10 to 15 seconds later, guys, you can stick a part to another part and just have it hold it, you know, like I've done here. This one, I also get the mixing tips. This is super important, guys. This glue is a pain to use if you don't also get mixing tips, guys. So there are other glues out there. I'll show you the second one that I use right now. This is a Tester's Optically Clear. This one is okay for windows where I can position it and hold it in place. It is not a hot glue, which means it's not a fast glue, and I don't like that part of it, guys. I think that is a colossal pain. So honestly, guys, I use this one for probably 90% of my gluing, maybe more. I've tried to substitute the other one. Some people use just one glue. I don't find that to be workable, guys, so I don't like to do that. From there, guys, those 4 things to me are the basic that you need to have if you're going to be doing models, period. Those 4 things. So these 4 things here, guys, the tips, I'm counting as one of them, and this glue, you can build an entire kit. Obviously, there won't be paint and things like that on it, but if you just want to build the kit, that's really all you need for that, because that will save you almost 100%. And some people will try scissors. I keep scissors for decals. That's probably a handy thing to have, guys, but you can't really do, scissors don't do well with the screws because they're not as precise and it's harder for them to get in there. Plus they don't have, see, this one has a special edge to it, guys. You can see that it's not a completely flat edge. You can see it's flat on this side. And then there's a little bit of a contour to this other side. You see that right there? So this allows you to get very precise control. This thing and any other scissors, not so much. As far as with decals, guys, I like to use, I keep the ones I don't use just to have around, but I use mostly warm water, guys, when I'm doing the decals. I find that warm water, it allows me to keep my fingers in there, and I do it all kind of, guys, by feel. So I'm not super precise with that. I do it most of the time by feel. And I find warm water will loosen it up fast enough, but also will give me enough control to get it out of there in time so I don't wind up wrecking the decal. Water slide decals are super, super sensitive, guys. And if you boogie one of those up, you are going to absolutely regret it. One other piece of equipment I'm going to talk about. I think these 4 things I just told you guys, the glue, the tips, the nipper, and the emery board are all you really, really need to have. But I would strongly consider, guys, everybody has scissors for water slide. That doesn't really need to be part of your kit. I would also consider one of these. And this is a super precise tweezers, guys. There's parts about this I don't actually like. And I wish there was a way that it would sometimes get better grip. But using this, so this thing and the file are 2 of the things I use a lot, guys, when I'm doing the water slide stickers. And the beauty of this is that with these 2 things, you can definitely get some really precise work in, even if you're doing things that have peaks and valleys. So those 2 things, I would say, are also things to consider. If you guys are going to get into it at a higher level, these 2 things are basically it. So maybe I'll add these. Maybe I'll do an intermediate list as well, guys, which will include the file and the tweezers. Because I think those are really, really good to have. I would also consider adding this because it's good to have one of these. You can do some fairly precise detail work with this. I don't find this super necessary, and there's a lot of kits, guys, I don't even wind up using that. Also, when you're getting into intermediate, I find one of these super helpful, which is basically just a clamp. That one, though, you're getting into trying to repair stuff. I don't use a putty, guys, and that's almost something where if you have a kit that's that badly mangled, you almost need to have a putty. So, guys, this is going to be a 2-part video, guys. The second part's coming up right as soon as I get done with this part. But if you guys are just interested in throwing a kit together and you want the bare tools, these will show up on the screen right now. Guys, if you want to get into it a little bit more, the intermediate tool, where I would say the intermediate stuff to consider is, will be added on the screen right now. Okay guys, so if you're still with me, that means that you are interested in also painting. So the paint portion of this, guys, this is going to be a discussion about basically painting. And I'm not going to get into airbrushing and some of the other stuff, guys. There is the testers. There is Model Master. Let's see if we can find one that's clean. Model Master right here, guys. And there is Tamiya. I don't do airbrushing right now, guys. This is all brush paint. I also have some Airfix stuff, but I don't ever use any of that. I'm pretty happy with these paints. I'm not looking around for stuff. And so, guys, there's a few different things with brushes, right? So when you're looking at brushes, you're looking at a couple things, right? You're either looking at detail or you're looking at area stuff. Now, for area stuff, I like to use this. These are the Wedge Brushes from Testers. These things are cheap and they cover great depending on the paint you're using. There's certain paints that are bad at coverage, but I like to use, when I do a whole bunch of wide area painting, those things I think are indispensable. So I like to use those Wedge brushes. I don't really have, so I've got Model Master brushes, I've got Tamiya brushes over here, I've got Virtuosos. I've got a whole series of different brushes, and I haven't found any particular brand that I'm in love with, guys. I just keep kind of flitting around here and there till I find something that I think is workable. I customize some of the brushes, so a lot of this comes down to preference. Where I started painting, guys, was the only thing that was really out at that time was Testers. So I painted with Testers exclusively in the beginning, guys. You need to have a variety of brushes. So this is another one you can do an area coverage with. You can see it's got some pretty decent size to it right here, guys. This one is, so you can see this one's fraying. This one I'm gonna have to replace soon because this one is pretty much had it. But stuff like that, guys, you could do some good intricate painting with. There's some that it gets all the way down to this just tiny area. I think this is a 4-point. So just depending, guys, on what you're wanting to do as far as painting, and painting at a basic level. To me, if I'm starting painting, because this is a beginner show, my actual setup will be in the video after this one. If I'm starting painting, here's what I'm getting. Testers has a kit that has paints. It has thinners, this is a thinner I use most of the time. To me, it's a water-based, guys, so I keep the washout over there. I keep these things of thinner strictly for brushes. So if you're going to be doing painting, you don't want to contaminate a whole bunch of stuff. So what I do with these is when it gets to the point where I can't see through the bottom, after I dump this out, so you can see right now it's still pretty clear. So when it gets to the point where I can't visibly see the bottom, I throw it away. But these things are like $1, and these are perfect for washing out brushes. Over there, guys, I've got a little juice glass with water for the Tamiya brush washout. Usually what I'll do is I'll get as much of it as I can out of there, and I'll take it to the sink and blast it out. So depending on the type of paint you're going with, guys, for me, the Testers are very thin, and you can do a lot of things with those. I find Tamiyas to be personally more forgiving, and I like using the Tamiya quite a bit, guys. You also are going to need something to stir up the paint, guys, and I use these, just plastic toothpicks. So something like that, guys. You can get into masking tapes and all that other stuff as well, guys, and I'll get more into that into my own setup here when we do that video. But for paint, guys, all you basically need are some kinds of paints and some kinds of brushes. Could be any of these. And I've got probably, I don't know, 40 brushes. I don't use them all. I only rotate through probably, I'd say, maybe 10 for each kit. And something to wash it out with, guys. Paper towel. So one of the techniques with doing this, right, is that when you get paint on this, guys, will save you so many brushes. Just this little tip right here. So you get paint on here. Wash it out. And what I do is so if I'm doing a solvent paint, I'll do it this one, and then I'll take it out, and then what I'll do is I'll take it right here and I'll wipe it out. And then I'll put it back into the finish, and I'll dunk it again, and I'll let it sit for a little while. That little wiping it on this paper towel, guys, will save you so much time and effort, guys, because it'll allow you to see how clean that brush actually is. Same thing with the water. I'll dunk it in the water, take it out to this towel, wash it out, dunk it back again, and then I'll let those sit until I'm done painting, and I'll take them in the bathroom and I'll wash them out under running water, guys. So for the paint section, guys, for you guys just out there who are going to start out with paint, the first decision you have is water base or solvent. Testers and Model Masters are solvent. To me, is water base. To me, is a little bit more expensive. It's not as available. One of the reasons I like it as well is because it has these groove things on the caps, which makes it really easy to get out. What I did was I was putting them on their sides. If you can do this, go buy this Tupperware thing for a couple bucks. You can keep all of them vertical, which will make opening these stupid paints so much easier, guys. You can see this red one is pretty battered because I had to keep beating it up trying to get it open again, guys. So definitely choose between the two of them. If you want Tamiya's, you're going to have to go to model shops. If you can go with testers, you can get that stuff at grocery stores. And you can find the glues, and you can find this. Testers is ubiquitous, guys. They are everywhere. So all you need for them is brushes, thinner, and paint. If you're going with Tamiya, all you need is paint and something to wash it out in. You can even use like a plastic solo cup and brushes, guys. And from there, it's just a matter of practice makes better, guys. The more you practice, the better off you are. If you want to get into intermediate painting, so guys, look at the screen right now. Here's a list of things that you need if you guys want to get into painting. Guys, from there, if you're going to do this a little bit more so as far as an intermediate thing, you can add this other stuff, guys, like you see here. You can add the masking tape. Personally, I like Tamiya's masking tape a lot, guys. So if you want to mask off things, that is really super handy to have. You need one of these at that point, and you need one of these, guys. So this is a magnifying light. And this thing, if you're getting into detail painting, you have to have it. Totally have to have it, guys. So the intermediate list, guys, of things to add on is on your screen now. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for the tools that you need as a beginner and a little bit of the intermediate stuff as well, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed this discussion, guys. I'd like to hear from you. If there's something I'm missing, is there something that you guys would also throw in there? My personal setup will be in the very, very next video, guys. So you can maybe save some of those questions for that as well. I answer questions a lot on Twitter about individual kits. I answer questions in real life a lot about model design and building a lot of this stuff. I'm not perfect, guys. I fail all the time. I don't hide any of that. That is available for you guys to look at. You can learn from my mistakes. I certainly try to, and I hope that I'm somewhat successful at that, guys. But it's all there for you guys to check out, warts and all, on the channel, guys. Hopefully, though, this has been of use to you guys. If it was and you enjoyed it, guys, please give us that old thumbs up. Hit the red subscribe button, guys, if you have not done so already, guys. Hit the blue bell next to the red subscribe button, guys, if you want to see the rest of the videos in this series. Or, guys, if you want to see more model builds, there's a whole playlist devoted to them, guys. I update the channel more or less as soon as it can happen, guys. So you can follow us on Twitter, where you can see those updates, guys. Also, there's Twitter-specific content, which shows you what happens with these models. The one in front of you happens to be a Tamiya airplane, guys. My first ever airplane. That model build will be available as a video on YouTube. However, the display that it is being made for will be only on Twitter, guys. So feel free to follow us on our Twitter feed, guys, for content you can't get anywhere else, guys. Like I said, we'd love to hear from you guys. Leave a comment if you are so inclined, guys. Always, I read through everything that's up there, guys. So definitely, if you guys feel like you have something to say or want chit-chat or whatever, guys, choose comment. Love to hear from you. Anyway, though, that's going to do it for us this time. We will see you all for the final video in this series coming right up. Bye-bye.